Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Jubilee Gardens residents are seeking legal action. That story is coming up tonight. Straight ahead.
Opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner weighs in on the drama between the F&M and DNA. That story straight ahead.
The political back and forth over Baha Mar continues. Plus, why the PLP's Candidates Committee thinks Wayne Monroe is still the man for Freetown. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, nearly a week after smoke from a roaring fire at the New Providence landfill forced them out of their homes. Some residents of Jubilee Gardens are demanding more from the government, which they say dropped the ball following Sunday's fire. Residents have also sought legal advice from attorneys who are demanding that government foot the bill for remediation. Giorgio Bain reports.
With the cause of Sunday's controversial landfill fire still under investigation and residents of Jubilee Gardens still not receiving the all clear to return to their homes, a small group of residents have assembled and now they're seeking legal action. After being forced to evacuate their homes and seek temporary shelter due to the sickening smoke blanketing their community, displaced residents of Jubilee Gardens say they've had enough. Melissa Allen Maynard, who has lived in Jubilee Gardens for 20 years, says residents refuse to be used as political tools. She says she believes the recent fire only received this kind of political attention because it's election season.
We are not photo ops. We are lives. We are human. We are not going to be used as a political pawn in this season.
Ironically, residents have sought legal advice from environmental attorney Romy Ferreira, who is also the Free National Movement candidate for Marathon. He says he will be demanding that the government pays for remediation, proper health screening for residents, and a proper plan in the event of another fire like the one that happened this week.
It's up to the government to respond to the hurts and the needs of the people. And one way you do that is with information. So one of the things that they need to know, and we're asking, and I'm asking on their behalf, is we want to know what these residents have been exposed to. We want to know. We want an analysis done of the soot. We want to know what have they been exposed to. What have they, and what is the plan for the remediation of their health beyond a urinalysis, which is woefully inadequate, right? Especially if you do not know what it is that the people have been exposed to.
Alan Maynard says it's a shame that it has gotten to the point of residents having to evacuate their homes.
All of us evacuated on Sunday.
I didn't.
Oh, no, Mr. Stubbs didn't. I am actually still out of my home. It's a vexing situation. The residents of Jubilee Gardens, we are fed up. We've had enough, and we are prepared to do anything in order to safeguard our lives.
Maynard recalled having to use buckets of water on Sunday to save their homes.
We had no choice as residents to fight our own battle. You know, my husband and my children and I vacated, but my husband, I said, hey, it's time for us to go. And that was after 4 hours decision on making that, okay, it's same as if we have out everything, because our neighbor's house had started to catch, both neighbors, and none of them were at home.
Wow. No.
So we were in between homes, fighting 3 fires.
DeWitt Williams, who has been a resident of Jubilee Gardens for 6 years, invited government officials to spend just one day in their shoes.
I urge the Prime Minister, first of all, and the Minister of Environment to take this weekend, go and live in Jubilee. Well, we're in a hotel. If you want to stay in our house, we'll give you the key. And you go there with your family and you inhale that smoke.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgia Bain.
Well, on the heels of Dame Joan Sawyer's criticism over the confusion surrounding Baha Mar, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis once again accused the government of twisted and contorted efforts to hide the details of the new Baha Mar deal. The former Court of Appeal president said on Wednesday there is confusion as to how the judgment in a publicly heard civil case could be sealed. Well, Minnis said today in a statement the embattled Prime Minister and Attorney General of all people should know the Constitution requires that civil proceedings must be made public, except in matters of defense, public safety, or public order. He added, even the former president of the Court of Appeal is questioning the Prime Minister and AG's control over the courts. The F&M leader said Bahamians are witnessing the great lengths career politicians would go to as they desperately try to hold on to power. Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis has defended the project, asserting every day seems to bring another set of misguided statements about Baha Mar. He added, it's political season and Bahamians have learned to discount the negative voices as having their own self-interested agenda. Well, leader of the official opposition, Loretta Butler Turner, says something is clearly off with the opposition forces. This after FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis publicly discussed the alleged details of a meeting with DNA leader Baha Mar Confusion on a possible union. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
Butler Turner says the back and forth over who demanded what is not exactly surprising, but she called it an ominous sign for the opposition parties who just can't seem to get along.
Well, I really don't want to get in the DNA or the FNM's business, but clearly it's a demonstration that something is wrong.
FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis told party supporters on Tuesday night that the DNA had requested 16 seats. DNA leader Granville McCartney denied that claim and added that Minnis wanted the DNA to dissolve, a request he found totally unreasonable. There has also been bad blood between Butler, Turner, and McCartney in recent weeks. Last week, McCartney resigned as leader of opposition business after Butler Turner accused McCartney of throwing her under the bus. While she had little to say about his resignation, Butler Turner says this latest squabble about seats says a lot about the DNA leader and his ability to work well with others.
I have not come out publicly to say how I felt about what I felt about the comments attributed to me by Mr. McCartney, but I think the public now has an opportunity to read between the lines to see exactly, who was telling the truth and who was just perpetrating falsehoods.
With the next general election weeks away, Butler Turner says at this point everyone needs to move on.
I guess the FNM and the DNA will have to work out their differences or move beyond it the same way that I've moved beyond it.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, DNA leader Baha Mar Confusion dismissed assertions that he is incapable of working well with others and suggested the party can win the general election without other opposition forces. Bonnie Toot reports.
Though political pundits have predicted that the opposition's best chance at defeating the PLP is forming an alliance, DNA leader Granville McCartney has suggested his party does not need the Free National Movement or anyone else to win the upcoming general election. He said all the DNA needs is the Bahamian people.
In order to beat the PLP now, the Bahamian people must make a decision and vote them out. The Bahamian people are the ones that will have the final say, and not the individual party, not the individual candidates. It's the Bahamian people.
McCartney has denied FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis' claim that talks of a possible union fell apart because the DNA did not want the FNM to contest 16 seats in the upcoming election. The DNA leader has also been involved in a public spat with opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner, who accused McCartney of throwing her under the bus even after she offered him a Senate post. During his appearance on RTV talk show On the Record with host Jerome Sawyer, McCartney once again insisted Butler Turner had no plan.
I became a senator. There was no plan for opposition, for the opposition moving forward. There were comments made about different things on different days that were inconsistent with the truth, and hence I resigned. And now we move forward, and we continue to move forward as the DNA in relation to winning this election.
McCartney also dismissed Butler Turner's recent comments as old news and the FNM as the status quo, insisting the DNA has moved on and now has something to prove.
So if the Bahamian people want this type of governance, if the Bahamian people want this type of country to remain, if they want the status quo, then that's the PLP or the FNM. If they want positive change, if they want transformation of this country, if they want a safe country, where we will be, there'll be no tolerance on the criminal element, where we will be fiscally responsible, where we will diversify our economy, where you'll have a first-class education. You vote the DNA. We have something to prove.
Reporting for our News, I'm Bonnie Toot.
Despite pushback from supporters of former MP Frank Smith, the Progressive Liberal Party's Candidates Committee has once again voted in favor of attorney Wayne Monroe as the party's candidate for the Freetown constituency. However, it remains to be seen whether the National General Council will accept the committee's recommendation on Monday. Monroe says clearly he is the better choice, but he will accept whatever decision the party ultimately makes.
Clearly, the Candidates Committee would have done its due diligence. It has concluded that I would be the better person to take the party's standard in that constituency, and one must assume that they have done their due diligence.
Would you be disappointed, though, if at the end of the day he's chosen?
Everyone is disappointed if you don't get something. Am I going to break up my toys and go home? No, we're not the FNM.
Monroe was the DNA's candidate for Mount Moriah in the 2012 general election, but lost to the PLP's Arnold Forbes. Smith, who served as a PLP MP from 2002 to 2012, was also unsuccessful in the last election. Monroe says it is a good thing when a political party has two capable people to choose from.
I have the highest regard for Frank. I have no beef with him. We're PLPs together. Our goal must be to stop the inept FNM from ever becoming the government in the Bahamas, and this is a process driven by the party's constitution.
Still to come on our news, why a local group says successive governments aren't solely to blame for the problem at the landfill. That's coming up when our news returns.